All right, so I'm taking it. I'm live on YouTube right now. Um, so the last couple of days, I've heard a lot of Republicans in the Senate, and you got to remember this is an election year. So a lot of Republicans in the Senate are like, "Oh yeah, we can't afford to send more money to the American people." Um, so it's an election year, and um, I've learned a few things in the last week. So the Democrats um, support what we call what they're calling universal salary. Universal salary basically means that the government would pay you a salary. If I understand it right, the government would pay you a salary, and you would go and work, and it would be like $2,000 a month, um, which is if you work a regular job and you're making 13, let's say you're making $13 an hour. Um, Let me do the math here real quick. You won't be able to see this, but I'm doing this. So you're making $13 an hour, and you're working 40 hours a week. That's 520 bucks, and you times that times four, which is what a payroll month is, 4 weeks, 28 days. You'd make $2,080. But you're not taking out taxes and things of this nature in this $2,080. So once you take out your taxes, or like say your um, uh, child support or your insurance or things of this nature, um, that money's probably reduced by 0.25%. So you got, uh, oops, I did the wrong thing. Let's see, 2,080, and you multiply that by 25. That gives you 500. That's one check. So basically, $2,080 um, minus 520, you would end up with about 1560. Now I don't even end up with that. And I have never said that I didn't want to pay child support. I have never said that I didn't need to pay child support. In fact, I paid child support on a child that was living with me for nearly 10 years to his mother. Why? Because the state of Mississippi was so god awful backwards that when I went and tried to file uh, with Children's Services over there, they informed me that in order to stop the child support, I had to go get an attorney. I couldn't afford it. I was working, making $8.25 an hour at a job overnight doing maintenance work. Fine. When I was making $10 an hour, I had free babysitter because my neighbor, I was the only one in the apartment complex with a washer and dryer because I bought one of those portable washer and dryers, stackable portable washer and dryers from Rent-A-Center or some place like that. And that washer and dryer is just like a portable dishwasher connected to your sink, and then you just stuck the air vent hose for the dryer out your window. Now, um, my landlord was nice enough to actually get an air vent connection thing and put it in the pantry so that I could slide the washer and dryer in there when I wanted to run the dryer. When I wanted to run the washer, and a lot of times I would be doing wash and dryer at the same time, so I'd just bring it out of the pantry, keep the air vent hose connected because it was about 10, 12 feet, whatever, and pull it out, hook up the washing machine to the sink. You keep that hose, and out went. And so did that. And my neighbor watched Caleb for free because she used my washer and dryer like every day. I used my washer and dryer about once a week. So Monday through Friday, I had free babysitter, and that's when I was making $10 an hour. And I was working as a millwright for Jesco at Cooper Tire in Tupelo, and I was living in Tupelo. So I see this second stimulus, and the Democrats are all for it, you know. and they're all for the universal salary. So if they paid us $2,000 on top of whatever we made with our employers, because that's basically the way it was explained to me, you would make the $2,000 a month government pay, and then you would turn around and whatever your employer made, you would make that too. Or maybe it's not. Maybe the employers wouldn't pay you at all. The government would pay you to go work for this person, which kind of sounds like concentration camp slavery, but you're getting paid. So if you're getting paid, it's not, you know, or maybe it's like, hey, you at least have to pay your employees this amount of money per month, and it's not the way if it's working that way, then they can't make less than this $2,000 mark. Okay, well, if you're making $13 an hour, you're making, 2,080 bucks a month, and that's before your taxes and all that shit. So that's why I don't see universal working. That means that if you're a lawyer, you're only going to make $2,000 a month. If you're a doctor, $2,000 a month, and you're surely going to pay taxes. Or again, it could be an on top of thing. So okay, so we're going to do universal pay. Now, if it was higher than that, yeah, I could see it probably working. Like $5,000 a month to every family. It doesn't matter how many people. It's whoever's working, you get that $5,000. Then that would work. Um, Also, right now they say the interest rates have dropped to almost zero. Not quite. If that drops any higher, well, then the only way to boost your economy is to send out more stimulus checks for X amount of months. So you got to remember, Republicans, it is an election year, and this is one thing that you need to do. First off, if you're going to send out more stimulus money, I don't care if it's the mother or the father, you have to immediately eliminate the states grabbing a hold of that money to pay back child support. Why? Because we're the ones that are struggling because we're not getting our money. I haven't paid April's rent. It's May now. And it's why? Because, oh, well, the federal government sent you $1,200, so we're going to take it and put it in our pocket to give to your ex-wife for back child support, which granted, yeah, that helped me out. I probably owe about $1,000 now, or less than, because, oh, by the way, in February, when you should have got $4,133, where you could have been back on your feet and had all these other bills paid off, we took that $4,133 and sent it to your ex-wife because of back child support. She finally got that in April, and you took it from me in February. So you sat on it. Cha-ching. And plus, when I went to court in March, and it was like the middle of March for not paying child support, you had no idea that you'd even gotten that money. The state did, but you sure sent me the letter in February. So we go to court, and they're like, you haven't paid. Oh, hold on, wait. I got check stubs here showing that I'm paying every freaking week, and you're going to tell me I'm not paying child support? I have to go to the child support office and fill out the paperwork for it taken out of my check. You do realize this, right? And you're telling me you don't have it, but here is January, February's freaking, check stubs, all four for February and the 2 from March, because I get paid weekly. Wait, what did you say? I haven't paid any? Oh, well, Mr. Riley, we didn't know. Well, how long has that been in place? You know what? I went and turned myself in to child support. Like, our divorce decree came out February 22nd of 2019. Okay, February 22nd. So, in 2019, there was only 28 days. So, 7 days later, on the 1st of March, I drove my happy ass from where I lived in Carrollton, Mississippi, up to Vernon, Alabama, and filed a petition to have it garnished out of my wages. However, in February, on that same week, or no, the week before, My ex-wife called me and said, "Hey, your daughters need a bed." Okay, great. Well, I just happened to have had my first paycheck. So I looked online and I saw that in our store we had bunk beds, the same bunk beds that we bought for our sons, and they were on sale for $205. And oh, they could get shipped to anywhere in the country. Excuse me, anywhere in the country. So I bought that bunk bed set from the Greenwood, Mississippi Walmart and had it shipped directly to her house. Do you know how much that shipping cost me? Da 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 da. It was free. Why? Because I had an order over $50. I sent her the receipt. I mean, literally, while she's talking to me on the phone, I bought that stupid bunk bed set, and they picked it up off the shelf and sent it to. Um, Now, it may not exactly have been worked. It may have came directly out of a warehouse here in Decatur, Alabama, which the um, Walmart distribution center. They may have sent her that one instead of the one on the shelf, but it claimed I had bought the one on the shelf in the store that I worked at. And I did that all while I was smoking a cigarette and talking to her on the break. And I had that receipt, and I had all these money order receipts where I was sending her $100 every week out of my check, on top of buying her the bunk bed for our daughters. Because it's my responsibility to take care of our daughters. When I moved back in on May 12th, guess what? We sent our kids 3 weeks later to church camp. And they came home, our sons did, with bed bugs. So don't send your kids off to Ewan, Alabama, to the church camp there, the Christian church camp there. And it's nothing against it being, a church camp. They have bed bugs, and they tried to fight us and have been fighting me and my ex-wife on where the bed bugs came from. But we didn't have bed bugs in our apartment, or her old apartment, until after our kids came home. And then it was game on, war on. I took my first check after I moved back. I got a job almost within. I moved back on the 12th of May. By the 22nd, which is 10 days later, I had a job. I was working for McDonald's. Um, for some reason, the state of Alabama was taking money out of my Walmart checks and still not sending it to her. But then they turned around and they were like, "Oh, you're working at McDonald's in Winfield, Alabama? Well, what's your address? Carrollton, Mississippi?" "Yeah." Because I didn't change it. I still haven't changed it. "Oh, well, this is going to take some time to process because we can't figure this out. How the fuck are you working in Winfield and and you live 2 hours and 15 minutes away?" "Well, that's my address because I've never changed it, but that shouldn't matter." "Oh, well, we're going to sit here and twiddle our thumbs like stupid fuckers for months." "Okay, that's great." And then in the meantime, I got offered another job doing construction, and I did that until, yeah, you got 5 days worth of work. And me and a guy named Mark and a guy named Mitchell would go in. We were deconstruction guys, and we'd go in and be like, "There's not a week's worth of work here. We're lucky if we're gonna have one day." And our supervisor Eddie was the same way. He was like, "How can Ricky's the guy that owns the business. How can Ricky say there's a week's worth of work here when we can get done in 8 hours?" And so a lot of times we would have to slow the fuck down and make our job last us at least 3 days. And then, boom, we'd work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And maybe Wednesday we'd get off at lunch, or we'd work the whole day. But then come Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we were off. Yep. And so after taxes, da 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 da, you know, I was bringing home at $10. I was bringing $11 an hour there, and I was bringing home $128 a week. Luckily, they didn't hold back the first week. So if you worked Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, on Friday you were getting a check. And a lot of times, Ricky would come in, and even if we got off at lunch on a Wednesday, and he knew we were going to be off Thursday, Friday, I filled out my paperwork for the taxes with Ricky on Monday. turned around and my taxes were taken out at the right level on the on that Sunday, or on that Wednesday when he brought me my first check. So, and then there was a couple of weeks where, yeah, Ricky couldn't make it. So, even though I was off, like say Thursday, or I was off, Friday, I still met up with Eddie that morning, because Thursday he would have our money and I'd get paid, and then I'd go to the store, buy groceries, pay my rent, whatever I was doing, because I was living here in this apartment. Um, but the universal pay rate thing, it sounds great as long as it's what I think it is, where you work for a private employer and you also get this money from the federal government. I mean, look, they send people, the federal government, if you move to Alaska right now, you're automatically put on after so many months, I think it's 6 months of being there as a resident, you're automatically put on a federal payout because it's so cold up there. They want you to stay up there. They're going to pay you $2,000 a month. Why the hell can't they do that for the rest of the fucking country? And this includes Hawaii. Why can't they do it for Hawaii? So, you know, you better think, Republicans, before you say, oh, you don't want to send any more stimulus money to the American people. You better think. This is an election year. I don't like sleepy Joe Biden. And yes, I was a Democrat for many, 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 many years. I voted for Clinton. Well, actually, I voted against Clinton. I voted for Ross Perot because he had money. He was a businessman, like Donald J. Trump, and he seemed to understand economics and money and the way it worked better than both Clinton and whoever the hell Clinton was running against. I want to say it was some foreign guy, first of all, that didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, and his basic slogan or rise to fame was, "My mother and father were immigrants." So was half the fucking country. Somebody from another country came over here to America. There was a grandfather, great grandfather, great 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 grandfather of everybody, including the Indians, American Indians, the Native Americans. They all came from other countries. In fact, it's been kind of determined that the Asian people and the Indians are more related. So that means that when the Bering Strait came open, the big ice bridge between Alaska and the Russians, it wasn't Russians at the time that were living there in Persia or Russia. It was Asians. So they took off and they went across the Bering Strait. Why? Because they followed the horses and the cattle. Their food took off and came off over, across that ice bridge. And this wasn't millions and millions and millions of years ago. So this was shortly after the flood of Noah, which the real big Bible thumpers want to tell you that the earth has only been here about 6,000 to 4,000 years. But if you read the generations and you read it correctly, there's about 64,000 years that the earth has been here since the fall of man anyway. So it could have been here longer. Was there a dinosaur age prior to man? No. Why? Because, hello, you have American Indians and early settlements in the European and Asian area where they draw pictures of their pets in stone and with paint and things of this nature, and there's dinosaurs. In the book of Job, they talk about the behemoth. God talks about the behemoth in the book of Job. I know it's mentioned in the book of Job because Job is being stripped of basically everything that he owns, and God asked Job, "Do I not care for even the behemoth?" So yeah, the dinosaurs were mentioned in the book of Job. Where did they hide? Um, I don't know. I'm getting a text or something. Let me check this out. Oh, that's yeah. Um. Uh. 32 minutes ago. Yeah. Hold on. Let me just pause this. True, and I agree with that. So, anyway, going back because I am live streaming. Sorry. Um, and I'm not wearing glasses because I could, but yeah. So, basically, the Republicans need to wake the fuck up. Because, like I said, I don't like Joe Biden. But if they want Donald Trump, President Trump, to actually have a second term, uh, they may. And even Donald Trump said he support. Even President Trump said he supports sending more stimulus money to the American people to wake up the economy. Okay, so if the president says it and he's a Republican, he's got my vote. As long as it's done. So the Senate guys and the Congress Republicans, because there's Democrats and there's Democrats in the Congress, but the Democrats are the majority, and there's Republicans that are congressmen and things of the congresswomen and things of this nature. So they're all looking at you know let's support this. The Senate has both Democrats and Republicans in it. So let's rise up, and get money into the pockets of the American people. Let's do a universal wage for on top of whatever they're making with their employers for the next year or 2 years. It would help. Don't be having that money sent off to freaking child support agencies especially when the parents are paying child support. And I, the absent parent, and really, I'm not absent. I have 50% custody of my kids, so I have a joint custody. We have a joint custody. So let's do it like that, and let's all let's all be chill about it. That will help out these parents that, hey, because you're taking, uh, especially if they're behind. In the state of Alabama, if you're behind, you're pretty much 50% of your income is every week is going to pay your back child support. Once that's done, then it drops down to 17%. In the state of Mississippi, they tack on like a 25% of your income is going to child support, and then it drops down to 14%. Alabama's higher. And people are like, well, that's because Alabama is Republican and Mississippi's kind of half and half. Well, I don't know. I didn't have that problem. Like I said, the problem I had was with DHR, or sorry, DHS, it's DHS in Mississippi, telling me that I had to get an attorney while I was paying child support to Caleb's mama. Caleb, are you there? And he was living with me since about the time he was 2 years old till roughly until about the time he was 10. No, it was almost 5. And then my mom decided to put this plan together.
I was 4 when I actually moved in with her because I ended up going to Lakeside right as my 5th birthday was going on. I spent my fifth birthday in Lakeside next to her ass,
Yeah, I know.
and I had already started living with her before that.
Right at that time, Caleb, I was working nights, so you were spending a lot of nights over there. But your school bus was bringing you to my house.
You're also not putting the fact that you also lived with her for quite some time.
Yes, especially after May, when I couldn't pay my rent. I moved in with her right around the time graduation started. So, anyway, so basically, from the time he was 2 to the time he was 5, I was
4.
paying. Okay, he was almost 5. I was paying your mama child support. And then I had things that got financially, I got into a financial burden. And in May, when he was 4, I moved in with my mom. And then during that summers when there was some things that was done, and I had trouble with child services coming down on me, telling me I didn't know how to be a parent, blah blah blah. And they basically told me that my son was now in the temporary custody of my mom. In the meantime, I had a good friend that was an attorney, and he told me a price, and I paid him that. I paid him all that money, and I got him paid off. And I came in to pay my. I think I was supposed to pay him like $300 a month. Well, I'd gotten my income tax back, and I'd been claiming Caleb, and this ticked off his mom because she was claiming him, but he wasn't living with her. Da 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 da. And I walked in and I gave my attorney all of it, all that I owed him left, and so I ended up going to court. And then my mom trying to be controlling of me and telling me that she would have custody of Caleb. Yeah, put a big thickened plot together, and no. Well, by the time that everything got said and done, and she couldn't really join the fight, well, all of a sudden she magically ended up with the money to pay an attorney. Well, that's right. She married a man whose cousin is an attorney, and she got free attorney services to come after me for custody. And the funny thing was, the therapist uh, that Caleb was seeing was, and this was when he was 15, finally looked over and said, "Well, Miss Phyllis, if you was to cuss in the middle of a church, wouldn't your parents, pop you in the mouth?" And she said, "Well, yes, they would have beat me."
I
Okay,
honestly don't want you talking about all that.
okay, that's fine.
That's
But I'm just saying that's what started, at that point, my financial trouble. But anyway, um, so when he was 10, when Caleb was 10, I finally stopped paying his mom child support and didn't have to pay no more child support because of certain situations. And that, I mean, when that kind of thing comes out of your check, everybody thinks, oh well, you're doing the right thing, but you should be able to survive with the $150 that you get left over. It's just not possible. Every dime I made in March went to pay my March rent. And by February, my job had cut our hours down to 32 hours. And then, because of my ex wife taking me to court for an order of protection that she never needed, I was missing days of work. And I'm sorry, but when you have a check that's 24 hours, everybody looks at you and goes, well, why didn't you work? Well, how the hell can I work and go to court? You must be fucking stupid. Now, I think it was March I worked. April I did not. I got begged to the night before court. Hey, if your court gets done, can you come in? Yeah, I'm going to. Well, then somebody at work wanted to start some shit, and I was like pissed, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to sleep. And then yesterday had the same thing, or Tuesday had the same thing, so I went and I will come in before I got cleared off, and it's excuse. Kiss my ass. You should have thought about that back in April. I mean, that's sad. No, I didn't get paid for it, but you know what? Screw it. And now my upper management is really cool. I mean, those guys are cool. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And but and I think my direct supervisor knew tonight that I was pissed, and he's cool as fuck too. I think he should be in charge of our shit. But yeah, so I'm not saying that you should, that the parents that don't have the children all the time should not pay child support. That's not what I'm saying at all. They should pay child support. And so, but having the federal government allowing states to take the stimulus money to pay said child support is ridiculous. Because, A, it puts the parent that is absent, that would have more money to spend on their children, it puts them in a bind. So the Republicans, you better think, oh yeah, it's an election year, and yeah. Because I know a lot of single parents, both that are paying child support and are somewhat behind. I know a lot of them are saying, hey, if this shit don't turn around and the government doesn't do something, the federal government can step in and say, hey, we're going to give $2,000 a month for the next year to everyone. You do not get your damn hands on it. Period. Okay, great. That'll allow those of us that are behind on our bills to catch them up and pretty much get debt free. I could get debt free if I had $2,000 a month for like 2 months. I could pay off my rent that I owe for March, pay May's, or for April, and then pay May's. I could pay off my car note, and then I could pay off my fine. I mean, I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta survive. So, anyway, that's just me. Gotta survive. But anyway, I'm gonna put these on so I can see. According to this, I've been streaming for about 30 minutes. I'm fixing to go to bed. I gotta be up. And gotta be up soon anyway. And thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't, don't worry about it. It's cool. There's also a live chat here, but you can't see it. What is that? Oh, that's the clothes basket. I'm looking at that going, what in the hell is that? Because it looked like a checkerboard. I don't even remember how it looked, but it looked kind of freaky. Also, I'm going to be possibly moving. So once I move, I may not be doing a lot of streaming, but I'll have to figure this out. We'll have to wait and see what the stimulus does. I have to know something by May 20th. And I don't know, I may just end up living in my car. And then going to the truck stop and taking showers. Gotta do what I gotta do. So, and if that's the case, all of my computer equipment will go into a storage unit until I can get back on my feet. I mean, I gotta do what I gotta do. All right, you guys, you have a great night. Republicans, wake the fuck up and agree to pass this $2,000 for a year, or we may all see sleepy Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. And I don't really care for Joe Biden again. All right, you guys have a good night. Talk to you later. Bye.